Okay, so I'm looking at XLReporter's Project Explorer here, and this is the first window that you'll see upon installing the product, and it acts as basically a hub of all the different tools that you'll use to configure and deploy your reporting project. You'll also notice that it's loaded to an XLR demo project, which is a sales demo, and is a great illustration of how XLReporter works in different vertical industries and with different data sources. But you probably would want to have these simulated reports included in your own project. So the first thing we do is create a new one, and you give the project a name. Typically you'd name this after the facility where you have XLReporter installed or the types of reports you're creating. I'll just name mine after the workshop we're doing. And the real key piece of configuration you're doing when creating a project is defining the data sources or the connectors. Now in this case, I'm going to use both the Ewon real-time for local data and the Ewon DataMailbox, but in a production application you would really be just probably using one of these or the other. So if I select Ewon real-time, then I just have to plug in the IP address of the Ewon on the LAN and the port that I defined in the Ewon OPCUA server page. Then the server endpoints for all the different network interfaces, LAN, WAN, and VPN appear. You just want to make sure that you select the LAN one. And then if you have a username and password enabled, just enter it here. Now the first time you do this, you'll be asked to trust the server certificate, so you'll say yes there. The connection will still fail because the server has not trusted your certificate. So you would just come back into the web page and just trust that from the OPCUA page here. So here is my client certificate. It's in the rejected area. And you just move that to trusted. And then now we can try again, and it will be successful. Next, I'll make a connector to the data mailbox. And this just requires you put in the credentials you use to log into eCatcher. And you can validate those with the status button. And then now I'm going to define a storage database for my Ewon history and alarm data. And here you can see we support SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres, and also any ODBC DSN that supports general transact SQL. For the purpose of the workshop, I'm going to use Access. Probably on a production system, SQL Server might be the best choice, but Access is nice because if you're just evaluating the product, we have a built-in database you can use. You don't have to have Access installed to use that. And that database is stored in the XLR projects folder, in the folder of the project that we're creating here, which in this case for me is XLR Project IoT. You go in the data folder, and the XLR database here is a blank access database we can use to store up to 2 gigabytes of process data. Now once we've confirmed that, I'm going to register my Ewon device, and you'll see some tables get created in my database to store the data when that happens. And here we can see the one Ewon device which has uploaded data to the mailbox. You'll only see devices here which actually have uploaded data, so just keep that in mind. Now the licensing, I have a 25 OEM device license in XLReporter right now. The licensing for Ewon starts at the XLReporter Professional Edition, which comes with 5 devices. And then from there, either with the Professional or any one of the team licenses, you can add on additional OEM devices from that point as an additional license. Once I've added the Ewon into my project, I click OK. And now I can begin syncing data. So here on the Mailbox tab, you can see the schedule defaults to every 1 hour, which means every hour around the clock, as long as XLReporter's scheduler is running, the software will monitor the contents of the data mailbox and add any new data that's been logged by any of your registered Ewons into your permanent historical database. Now again, this would normally happen automatically on a schedule, but during the initial setup phase, it's probably good to run a manual sync, and I can also use this to show you guys how it works for demonstration purposes. So as I start that sync, you can see there are transactions going through. We can see my Ewon devices, all my tags, all the dates associated with the process data are cycling through. And then when the data has been fully collected, you see a sync complete message. So again, we're doing this the first time here to sync the 10 or so days of data that would typically be in a mailbox at that point in time. Now going forward, every hour, XLReporter is going to run and just add in any new data that it finds each hour. And once that's all happening automatically in the background, for reporting purposes, this entire data source will just appear like a local historian in the database where you've stored the connector data. There's also a diagnostic viewer you can use here to see the last known values on any tags you have. And you can see this historical data here as well, where you can see when the data is coming down from each tag. And if you have any alarms, you'll see those there as well. Again, this isn't really a report per se, but just kind of a diagnostic tool you can use to see if the data is actually coming through the mailbox from the Ewon devices. Now, once you've done that, you can confirm the settings, confirm the project creation, and this message here is just telling us that the web server for XLReporter is switching over from the XLR demo project to the IoT one that I'm creating. And now we are ready to go and begin designing some reports against our Ewon data either locally or remotely through the mailbox.